Hello everybody, this is Dr. Rico with Faithful Scholar, and in this video I'm going to walk you through how to set up your first space inside of ClickUp, the project management software, to be used in a way that you can maximize student engagement, really make your workflow work for you, make it more efficient, and being able to maximize your time in higher education. I've used this software as an academic advisor. I've used it when I was the dean of student overseeing multiple departments and student affairs. And I use it now as a faculty member and the advising that I do with my students. And so there's a lot of trainings out there from ClickUp themselves, but this one really is tailored to how I use it to, again, maximize my work with students. So just to share, this is the main page, right? So you can go to clickup.com and it'll take you here. They're very highly rated. This video is not sponsored by them. I don't have any relationship with them other than being a client myself, but wanted to share that with you here. Now, the pricing, I currently am using the unlimited just because I like having unlimited custom fields and some of the other integrations. But for the past 2 years, I used the free version, and that was enough. Honestly, that gave me everything that I needed, and it'll give you everything you need for what I'm going to show you today. But again, as you continue to use it, and as I did, I wanted to move to get more and make it even more custom and more user-friendly to what I needed to be used. So I moved to that. So when you start your account, when you begin, this is a screen that you're presented. It's your home screen. I call it my main dashboard, right? Where all of my to-dos, all of my, if you've integrated with your calendar, all of your meetings show up here as well. And the tasks when they're due would show up as well. And then things that are overdue, what's next, what's unscheduled, what's trending in your workflow, all that shows up here. So this could be your one-stop shop for many of these items. I keep saying tasks. In project management software, tasks work very similar to how you would use a notebook, and you could have little boxes with all your to-dos. That's how this would look. So think of a task as your main to-do item. Then you could have subtasks. Maybe you have little lines with things that you have to do within that. And maybe you have checklists on a separate document, right? Well, that can get really messy on your desk. This allows all of it to come together into one online platform that you can take with you. It can be on your phone, on an app, or maybe a tablet, or carried on your laptop, on your desktop. It's all integrated, and because it's web-based, no matter where you are, as long as you have an internet connection, you can check and work on this, and it'll transfer to every other platform. So when you're in here, you go to Spaces. Your Spaces, I think of them as your notebooks or your folders where you would keep all those different tasks and papers and items inside of. So let's create the first one. So you name it. For this, sakes of this activity, we'll call it advising. So it's advising, and at the time of recording this video, we're in spring 23. So we'll call it advising spring 23. Then it'll take you to here where you select what is the color you want to use. So I'll use this nice brown, and since we're doing advising, I'll go down to the people and select some people. There we go. Then you go to the next. I'm going to make this private. If you're working with others and you want to collaborate, you could totally do that, but I'm going to make it private. And since you're working with yourself potentially, you can do that as well. Here, these are all the different options, templates that it has for your traditional project management, which is what ClickUp was originally created for. Like I said, I like to make it custom. I like to make it work for me and my needs. And so I'm going to walk you through how I set it up for academic advising with students or counseling in college. My first one, this is as it starts when I type a name. I like to call new student. I know, so innovative. New student, right? Then the next one, and these statuses are a way to let yourself know where does the student stand in the journey that is their degree, right? In their relationship with you as their advisor. So that's one way to think about it. So they're either a new student, maybe in my case, they're onboarded, and I'll paint that yellow, right? I like to use the street light type of color. So yellow is like they're ready to go, but they haven't started moving. Maybe this one is persisting, because for me, it is so important that they persist towards their degree, right? Not that we just retain them. but they actually move forward. Maybe I make another one called at risk. This just gives me a heads up. Hey, the student's GPA dropped, or maybe their engagement has dropped, whatever it is, right? At risk social emotionally or academically or whatever those items may be for your purposes. And then I'll have one that is ready to graduate. And I'll make that this nice purple. Um, and then at the bottom here, where it says complete, I'll call this graduated. Fantastic. So how these work is active statuses keeps that student on your to-do list, so to speak, right? So the active status keeps the student on your to-do list so that they don't just disappear and fall off the radar. The graduated or those closed status down here takes it away. Now you can always open it back up and show the closed, but it removes it so that it's not getting you confused with all the students that you may have. Done status considers it done, but they are not taken off from the list, right? So sometimes I actually move graduated down to the done. That just lets me know, hey, they're finished, but they haven't left. They're not off my caseload yet, right? So I would leave it like this. Then you can move to next. Now, ClickUp, like I said, gives you so many integrations and it's amazing for that. The top ones that I recommend you use if you're using this for academic advising or higher education is definitely leave this one on. You want them to let you know when something's not completed. You could also take this one off. I don't keep track of time. If you're working with a team, maybe you might have this one, but otherwise you can take it off. I like to keep email to integrate it, but if you're using the free version, you might not have access to that. So just be mindful of that. Let's take it off for this purpose. And so I leave these four, right? If you're using the free version, these four are great. Then the views. So it gives you a couple different ways of looking at all your tasks. You can look at it as a list, as a board, and if you get the paid versions, you get more. But right now, I'll just leave those two as the main ones. And it says, all right, everything's good to go. You have your main apps open, the default views, and who you are. So let's create the space. Then it takes you here. Now, in this section, and it's loading here for a second, but in this section, now you would begin to add who your students are, or who your clients are, however purpose you're using them. And in this is where instead of a task, right, task would be your traditional project management. I think of it as the student. And so just a quick word of caution, be careful with FERPA regulations, right? So make sure you talk with your supervisors, talk with your team to make sure that you're preserving student confidentiality. And do know that if the courts subpoena these documents, you would have to show them. So you don't want to put anything that is confidential or that could be at risk. This is really just, think of it like a notebook. What would you write there? What would be okay for you to write there to keep yourself organized and to be able to maximize your work with your students? So for my purposes, I always like to use initials just because, right? Maybe I mess up and I leave my screen open. So that way it's only initials and nobody can identify anyway. So let's say I'm working with Alex, Alex Alexander, why not? AA, right? And we type it there. Let me do a quick refresh. We have Alex Alexander, right? You press return and it creates a new task, which we call differently. So now it's a new student, right? And as the student progresses, when you click here, the little box, you can then change the status of where they are, right? Right now they're new, so we'll leave it at new. And then I have another student, let's say it's Luis Smith. Fantastic. And I have a Roxanne Fenton. Why not? Boom. So I have 3 students right now. So these would be your main tasks. And those, if you had dates and things like that, it would show up on your homepage as well. So your students are here. Over here is where you get to customize how you want to be able to identify these particular students. So since you're the only one working here, let's get rid of this one. You can hide columns or sort them just by right clicking will hide that one. The due date, we want to keep that. That allows you to be able to add a due date for follow up, or to maybe there's a particular date where you really need to contact this particular student. That would be there. Priority, this is great to know. Maybe they come in, so this one came in fine. This one came in fine. This one was on academic probation, so I'll put on high. But maybe let's say this one came in and there's some red flags popping up, so you might put it as urgent to let yourself know, hey, you need to follow up with this particular student ASAP, right? Then this is where it gets awesome. You can add more columns. This is where you can customize it to work for you. So I like to use the drop down and make it as custom as possible, but you could add short text, long text, little notes. There's a better place for notes, but sometimes just having a word or two just to remind you or categorize them in a certain way is helpful. You can add a date. So maybe it's a start date and an end date when they began and ended their program. This will show the progress for the tasks that you'll have inside of the application. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. You can add numbers, maybe a checkbox. Let's say maybe you have a checkbox for have they completed the internship requirements? Yes or no. Or have they submitted their prerequisites? Yes or no, right? Something like that. And so on and so forth. So there's all kinds of um, columns you can add. But again, just want to remind you, be careful with FERPA, be careful with confidential information, especially because we work in education. I'm going to create a custom dropdown. So let's say you are an academic advisor and you work with multiple different programs. Well, you'll want to create a degree column, right? And in this degree column, I work for the School of Education. So I'll add, maybe it's a single sub degree, and let me fix that, single sub. Maybe it's a multiple subject, multi-sub degree, and an admin credential, and then a higher education degree, and maybe an ed specialist, right? There they are. Well, you could also add color, right? Again, maybe this one's blue, this one is a green, we'll make it purple, brown, and this one could be yellow. Fantastic. Well, now, let's say these different students have different degrees. You can categorize them, right? So this one's a single sub, this one is an admin, and this one is that higher education. Fantastic. And you can have multiple different columns for different things. And this could start to get really full, right? Maybe you get all the way over here because you have all the different columns for the different identifiers for that student. And it does take a little bit to build it, but as you saw, it's pretty simple. One of the ways that I like to think about it is this is my front face landing page where I would be able to quickly identify when I get a phone call, who is the student, what degree are they in, and I don't have to ask any of those questions. I mean, how frustrating is it when you call your professor and you think they know you, and then they're asking, wait, what degree are you again? That's what we're trying to avoid with this type of platform is how do we make it so relational so that when they call, you could say, fantastic, you're in this degree and you're in this year. Let me pull up your degree plan, right? Automatically, it adds to that customer experience, that student satisfaction, that sense of belonging, all those different factors that are going to help with retention and empower them to persist forward. So that's what this tool has really helped me do. Now, let's look at, you've done all that, you've created all your categories, how you want to identify the student, and you have your list of students. Now, this is where you, let's say AA is a new student, you haven't talked to them. LS, they've gone to onboarding, boom, moves it to another section. So all your students in onboarded that have already been onboarded would be here, and all your new students would be here. Let's say RF went to onboarding. Great. Then RF moved to persisting. They're already enrolled, their degree is moving forward, they're registered in classes, and so they would stay in persisting until there's an issue. But let's say LS is persisting, they're moving forward, and then something happens where their GPA dropped. And you had a red flag already, so you were keeping an eye on that. Then you would go to at risk, and you keep that student in that at risk folder. And it's loading up for a second here. Let's do a little refresh. Now it's an at risk category. This is how you can very quickly, when you show up in the morning, look up where are my students, at in their journey. And you can keep track of those that are at risk, those that are persisting, new students that you have, or those that are in onboarding. Um, Again, helping you stay organized so nobody falls through the cracks and they get that customized personal experience because you're organized through this platform. Now, inside of here, this is where it gets really interesting. Remember when I said don't add text sections here? Well, when you actually click on the student, it brings up this dashboard. And there's a couple sections here. So I'm going to walk you through them. The section down here keeps track of all the changes that you've done. You can check even, the underlining ones, but as you've seen here, it says how long ago it was, and it'll have dates once it's been a few days, but everything that's happened with the student. You can add little notes here. So maybe you talk to them and you know that their grandma is having surgery, right? And you want to check in on them about that. So you add a little note just to remind yourself. Well, this might get cluttered because it's going to have a lot of changes and a lot of notes. So that's where this section here is helpful. This is the permanent notes, I call them. This is something that's not going to get lost because it's going to stay as is fixed. You can do a forward slash and format it in whatever way you want it to, right? You can add tables, checklists, columns. You can even add templates that they have, headings. You can change the color of the background, the text, and even embed different items like shared drive documents or things like that. So this is your go-to main note section of things that are permanent. This is kind of the little things that come up as you go. In this section here, it'll have all the different categories. So again, if you click on the student and you're looking at it from this view, you can still see all the things that identify this individual student and their needs. One of the things that I love about the platform. Then down here, you can attach different documents as you need, and you can see here the different options that it gives you. You can file upload, Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, all those different options down here. Now, up here is where you have subtasks. Subtasks will show up as to-dos inside of this to-do. So it's almost like a to-do within the to-do, and it'll show up on your calendar and you can add dates to them. So that's one way to do it. If you want them to pop up and it's something you definitely want them to remind you. So maybe it's, check in about GMA. And you may be wondering, why do I have to check in about grandma? Well, we know in higher education that they're not just students, they're not just learners, they're also human beings, and we look at it holistically, right? So if they're well social emotionally, they're going to be able to show up and learn and persist. And so this is where I've really maximized this as an opportunity to connect with my students and be able to ask those little things based on what they share with me, right? And it makes a world of a difference when they call you and you could say, "Hey, so glad to hear from you. Hey, by the way, how's your grandma doing?" Right? I don't know about you, but when I had faculty that did that with me, it just made me feel special. And whether it's they actually remembered it because they have amazing memory, or they used a tool like this to help them remember, that doesn't matter, right? The fact that they cared enough to ask can make a huge impact. So wanted to just add that, right? And I'll do those from time to time with students. So those would be subtasks, and it'll remind me, right? I could even put a date of when it should remind me. Or, right, maybe you don't want to do that, and you can click here and delete them or archive them, right? So it gives you all the different options there. Maybe you just have a checklist and you can create templates. As you can see here, you use a template, you build it, where maybe there's things. So this student, right, when they're onboarded, you can create schedule, and you do a welcome call, and you provide advising dates, and so on and so forth. So as many things as you need. Eventually what I do is I actually build templates that I use, that once it's built, I just throw it, boom, boom, boom. I just create template, there it goes. And it's the same one again, making it faster so you can regain your time. And now from here, when I onboard a new student, so let's say they are they're onboarded, then I would go in, okay, create their schedule, check, finished it. You can see the completed it's already checked. I like to show completed. It just gives you that satisfaction of I marked it off, right? Like that physical paper. Then I give them a call. Hey, how's it going? Did a welcome call, and I provided the dates. Great, it's all done. Well, the benefit of this too is when you check off of it, you can see here how many are completed. So here how it shows 3 of 3. So once you've built that template, let's say you added it here, then it would have, um, if you click use template, and I don't have any because this is a brand new platform, but it would show up all your templates in here. It would show maybe there's 10 items. It'll show 0 out of 3, right? Now, if you add them as subtasks, so let's see, I'm gonna do test, then it shows as a subtask. So it has a little caret, you click on it, and then it brings a subtask. And those can have due dates and priorities and all that. So the reason I like to use the checklist is I like to see that progression and be able to scratch off. But some people like the subtasks and be able to click off of those and then being able to have all the multiple subsections in the sections. I just personally find that it gets pretty cluttered. And so the task works enough for me. But essentially, that's how I would use it, right? So you have your main homepage where once you have everything integrated, everything starts to show up here, your notes. So one-stop shop. And then you go to spaces, you click your space, that's your folder, and you could have everything here, all the different categories, everything as it's set. You click in here, it has what degree or maybe specialization or all that, your notes from your last meetings, hard items you want to remember, and then your checkoff list here. So again, this platform will help you be able to make your phone calls, your emails with your students that much more tailored to them. And really, it's helped me build relationships with students. It's helped me stay organized and honestly has just regained my time, which again is always my most valuable resource. So let me know in the comments below if this is helpful, what additional tutorials might be helpful to you, or if you're using this, how has this redefined, transformed your workflow in higher education?